from Kim, and she get fucked all night.
Hey, how's it going? It's your boy Chief Trey's Bolts here, coming at you with the Week 6 recap versus the Buffalo Bills. That's right, it's the AFC Championship rematch. It's the AFC Divisional rematch. It's a rematch of many things because the Chiefs and Bills, they've had quite the history since Mahomes and Allen started playing quarterback for the two of these teams. So, obviously, we all know the result. The Bills won 24-20. Now, there must be a few viewers at least who are expecting, like, oh my God, this guy's going to be so pissed off. Oh my God, this guy's going to go on a rant. No, I expected this. And I'll tell you why I expected this. If you don't believe me, actually, you could go back to last week's recap at the very end of the Raiders video. I said we are going to lose. I knew it. I knew it was coming. It was too predictable. Although this was a lot closer than I expected it to be. You see, the Bills were coming into Arrowhead with vengeance. They were looking for payback, revenge, whatever you want to call it. They were waiting all season for this because that's just what happens. When you have a great team who was defeated in such dramatic fashion last year when it mattered in the playoffs, absolutely you're going to come back next season and you're going to want the revenge. Look 3 weeks ago, the Chiefs go back to Tampa. Mahomes played out of his mind. The entire team, they played out of their mind because they had that mindset where they just wanted that vengeance. They wanted that revenge. They weren't over how their season ended in the playoffs against that team. And that's exactly how the Bills felt coming into this game. And it was predictable. It also did not help that the Chiefs were dealing with a couple of defensive injuries. They were without safety Brian Cook and starting cornerback Rashad Fenton, leaving L'Jarius Sneed as the only non-rookie cornerback to play for the Chiefs in this game. So, you got your two cornerbacks and your two safeties. And for safeties, Brian Cook was out. And I'm not a big fan of Brian Cook, but obviously you want your starting guys in. This was Justin Reed and Juan Thornhill, obviously. Then you had Brian Cook and Deion Bush. And then for cornerbacks, you have usually Rashad Fenton, L'Jarius Sneed. Obviously, Rashad Fenton didn't play this game. So then you turn to guys like Chris Lamons, Jalen Watson, et cetera, and you're relying on these pretty inexperienced guys, rookies, to slow down the high-scoring Bills squad. But despite the injuries on defense, the defense played very well against a Buffalo Bills team that should have scored more than 24 points. Let's just get to the play-by-play here. The Bills receive the ball first. They drive down the field 60 yards. They get into the red zone, the KC-13, and Josh Allen trying to pitch it to, I believe it was Devin Singletary. Singletary wasn't looking and bounced off his helmet. It was a backwards pass. By rule, it was a fumble. It was recovered by Kansas City's Harris, and the Chiefs get the ball. The Bills don't get any points. Well, it wouldn't really help because the Chiefs would do damn near the same thing on their drive. They would drive all the way to the red zone, the Buffalo 9. And Mahomes makes a very risky pass to MVS. I like to call him USF because he went to USF, and that's where I'm going to college, so I call him USF. Mahomes throws a pass to USF, and it was just really tight coverage. It was a very risky, aggressive throw from Mahomes, and USF cannot come down with the catch. It's intercepted actually by Elam for Buffalo, and it's already back and forth on the defense here. You got a fumble recovery for Kansas City just to turn around and have that be an interception recovered by Buffalo. Buffalo gets the ball back, and with 11 plays, 4 minutes, they get to the Kansas City 21 and have Bass kick a 39-yard field goal. Bills up early 3-0. No score at all in the first quarter. Second quarter comes along, and now the Bills are up finally 3-0. The Chiefs get the ball back, and in just 2 minutes, 6 plays, they drive down the field and get a touchdown. It is a Juju Smith-Schuster touchdown. His first as a Chief. It's week 6. This is his first touchdown as a Chief. This was also the first touchdown on the Chiefs by a wide receiver since week 2 against Los Angeles. That is a remarkable stat. Despite that, the Chiefs, coming into this game, are 4-1, have not thrown a touchdown to a wide receiver since week 2 in this season. Juju gets the first one since then. He spun out of 3 guys to make this happen, ran down the field 42 yards. The touchdown is good. And guess who is on kicking duty for the PAT? That's right, baby. Harrison Butker is back. We had our ups and downs with Matt Amendola and Matthew Wright. They were struggling pretty hard, and it felt so nice to get Butker back. So he obviously nails the PAT. The Bills get the ball back, and on 4th and 3, they go for it, and Josh Allen's pass is incomplete, intended for Isaiah McKenzie, and the Chiefs get the ball back. Well, the next 3 consecutive drives split between the Chiefs and Bills would be punts, 2 of them being 3-and-outs, actually. So the Bills get the ball back nearing the end of the half, and they waste a lot of time. Josh Allen throws in coverage, one-on-one, Gabriel Davis. Joshua Williams, second-string safety, gets absolutely burned by this one-on-one throw by Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, beautiful pass. But, when you've got guys like Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, good players with NFL experience going one-on-one against rookies like Joshua Williams, the odds aren't in your favor if you're a Chiefs fan. And so can't even be surprised at this result. Honestly, I think if the Bills just did more one-on-one coverage for the rest of the game, they could have scored more, but that's just what I think. So the Bills actually, with 16 seconds on the clock, they squib kicked it, which was hilarious because if you remember from the divisional last year, they did not squib kick it. They sent it to the back of the end zone for a touchback and left 13 seconds on the clock for the Chiefs and Mahomes to start at the 25-yard line and in 13 seconds go downfield and score the game-tying field goal. So they tried to change it up this time. They were having a little bit of flashbacks. They said, oh, well, shit, okay, this half is ending really soon, and they're going to get the ball back with hardly any time, just like the divisional. So let's squib kick it this time and actually kill the clock. And so the play ran down the clock to the 12-second mark. 1 less second, obviously, than 13 back in the AFC divisional last year. Automatic flashbacks now for the Chiefs and the Bills, especially the Bills getting that PTSD. They're like, oh shit, well, it's 12 seconds this time, so maybe that extra second will be a big difference. Came down to 1 second, didn't it? So in two plays, and we're talking short pass to McKinnon for 19 yards, and then a 9-yard pass to Travis Kelce with an immediate timeout to stop the clock at 1 second on the Buffalo 44-yard line. So, oh my goodness, are they going to do it again? So they line Harrison Butker up for the 62-yard field goal attempt, and he fucking nails it. He nails it, and he ties the game at 10-10 to go into the half. And it's just like, this was the highlight of the game, was just kind of like reliving a little bit that divisional game from last year. 13 seconds, that seemed like a short amount of time. No, this was 12 seconds. This was less. And the Chiefs are still able to drive down just to get that field goal. And Harrison Butker, I mean, he drilled it. He had probably another 5 or 6 yards on it. Probably could have made it from 66, 67. If I wouldn't be surprised. It was a 62-yard field goal. Important to note, this was the record now for longest field goal in Arrowhead Stadium history. The record previously set, if you can believe this, was just last week. That's right. It was Matthew Wright's 59-yarder against the Raiders just last week that set the Arrowhead Stadium longest field goal record. So in just 1 week, Harrison Butker said, all right, thanks for filling in, Matthew Wright, but I got to take that record from you now. And he does just that. 62-yarder is good for the longest field goal in Arrowhead Stadium history. 50 years in that stadium, that's the longest field goal. That's pretty impressive. So that ends the second quarter, and we go into halftime. So we come back now. So the Chiefs get the ball back. They started with it, actually. It's 11 plays, 4.5 minutes off the clock. They get to the Buffalo 33 for a 51-yard field goal attempt, right? And you're thinking, oh, well, Harrison Butker, he just drilled a 62-yarder, right? This is 11 yards shorter. This should be a gimme, right? It's Harrison Butker. He's great. He actually misses it. He hooks it wide left. Apparently, nobody in Kansas City can consistently kick field goals. Even the best kickers like Harrison Butker can't do it. It's weird. That's 4 weeks, 3 kickers, and in 3 of those 4 games, all 3 different kickers made field goals and missed field goals. That's crazy. So the Bills get really good field positioning. Their own 41, and it doesn't take long. 6 plays, 3 minutes, and they get a Stephon Diggs 17-yard pass from Josh Allen for the touchdown. Once again, this was a one-on-one pass from Josh Allen. It's pretty predictable. And guess who? It's the same guy. It's Joshua Williams, the rookie, filling in a cornerback position. And again, he can't come up with it one-on-one. You almost kind of feel bad for him because it's like, you know, what more do you want him to do? He's a rookie going off these experienced, fantastic players like Stephon Diggs, and not a whole lot he can do. Stephon Diggs, it's another beautiful pass from Allen. Stephon just comes down with it, and really not a whole lot you can do about it. And it's hard because, can't necessarily blame the guy. You know, he's doing his best. You have to accept that he's filling in. He's not the primary. It's one thing if he's a primary guy at that position, but he's not. And so it just makes it difficult when you could just throw one-on-one with him all day and he'll lose 90% of the time. So the Chiefs get the ball back and they're trying to compete in the game. It's a 7-play drive, 4 minutes, and McCole Hardman gets the touchdown pass 3 yards from Patrick Mahomes. And this one was in a very, very tight window, to say the least. So the fact that McCole Hardman, of all people, was able to hold on to it and come down with it for the touchdown is pretty surprising. So McCole Hardman gets the touchdown on 3rd and goal, and it's 17-17. Tied nearing the end of the 3rd quarter. The Bills get the ball back. They run out the clock to the 4th quarter, and they go for it on 4th and 3. It's an incomplete pass to Stephon Diggs. Chiefs get the ball back, and they would make a field goal out of the drive, 8 plays, 4 minutes. It's a 44-yarder from Harrison Butker. So, I guess for him, he just needed to get that one miss out of the way. It's first game back, bro. Like, I get it, I guess. But he makes the 62-yarder and now 44-yarder. Couldn't make the 51, though. So, oh well, I guess. So instead of what would have been 23-17, it is 2017, and those 3 points would end up kind of hurting the Chiefs in the end. So the Bills get the ball back. It's a 4 and out, get a first down on the first play, and then go 3 and out from there. There was a little bit of controversy on this because on 3rd and 10, Josh Allen was sacked by Chris Jones, who tripped out. I mean, he tripped Allen. It was just, and it wasn't called for a penalty. Should have been. But one thing I will say is that there were some really bad calls on both sides of the ball, and it's weird going online and seeing people say like every week how much the refs favor the Chiefs, and I question as to whether or not me and these other strangers are watching the same damn game, because I don't get that sense at all. I don't think there's a bias towards the Chiefs at all with the officiating. Look at Carl Sheffers against the Raiders last week. That was fucking terrible. And it was terrible on both ends. I really don't see the whole argument about how the refs are favoring the Chiefs and they're trying to help the Chiefs out. I really cannot stand by that at all because I don't see it. I really don't. So what? They miss a trip on Allen here. Okay, what about the Travis Kelce push-off penalty that happened when he caught a ball and ran for a bunch of yards, when it was less of a push-off than Stephon Diggs' touchdown against Joshua Williams one-on-one in coverage? How is that the case? Another thing on this tripping call is Chris Jones was kind of being held and pushed in to Josh Allen, so it was kind of Chris Jones' instinct to just, I'm not saying it was legal what he did, but I'm saying that he didn't really have a choice. It was either he does that and tries to get away with a missed call, which he did, or he just doesn't risk it, lets it be, and Josh Allen ends up throwing a deep bomb for first down. It's like when you're being held and pushed near your quarterback, it's like, what do you really want the guy to do? There's a pretty bad hold on Frank Clark that didn't get called. It was blatant from the back. I don't really like when people argue holding calls because, let's be real, on the O-line and the D-line, there's going to be holdings every single snap of the game. It's football. There's holds every single snap of the game on the O-line, on the D-line. As long as it's not far and away obvious, blatant, they're not going to call it. The refs just aren't going to call it. My problem with this holding call against Frank Clark, however, was that he was chasing down Josh Allen running out of the pocket, and he gets held from the back and kind of pulled back. That's the holdings that should be obvious and should be called. That one was not. So when people argue that, oh, well, the Chiefs just get really lucky with the officiating, the officials love the Chiefs, they like to help out the Chiefs, I don't see that argument at all. I think it's ridiculous. I think the Chiefs get just as screwed in these bad officiated games, if not more screwed than the opponent. That's just the way I've been watching these games. Whatever, it is what it is, but the NFL does need to, it's just, the officiating is not consistent, and it hasn't been this year, and it's really frustrating to watch. So, anyways, after the sack, Martin punts it for the Bills, and it's to McCole Hardman, and he, of course, muffs the catch because, well, it's McCole Hardman. He does that. And then he just runs around, runs backwards a little bit, and gets a whole 10 yards out of it. Great, dude. Great. This guy is so fucking bad. I can't stand him. So the Chiefs then go 3 and out. They have an opportunity to put the game away. They're up by 3, and they're getting the ball back with 7.5 minutes in the game. They have a grand opportunity to put the game away. The best they could come up with? A 3 and fucking out. A 3 and out. That's the best they could do when they have a chance to put the game away. That is pathetic. And that is where the Chiefs lost this football game. You have an opportunity to put it away. You go 3 and out. Terrible. Bills get the ball back, and wouldn't you know it, they get a touchdown. After 4.5 minutes and 12 plays, they get a touchdown. It's Dawson Knox from Josh Allen, 14 yards. They leave a whole minute. I was actually celebrating when the Bills scored this touchdown because I was really worried they were just going to run the damn clock out and bleed it down until it was impossible for the Chiefs to even try and come back. No, they scored way too early here, and the Bills knew it. The Bills knew it. And you could see the panic on their sideline. They're like, oh shit, 1 minute. That's an entire quarter for the Chiefs, especially with 2 timeouts left. That was too much time. Well, thankfully for the Buffalo Bills, they would be bailed out by a very questionable pass from Patrick Mahomes. Very aggressive pass from Patrick Mahomes. Intended for Hardman. That was your first. It was intended for Hardman. First of all, that was the screw up of the play right there. You don't ever intend a ball with the game on the line. You don't ever go to Hardman. Just that should be common knowledge. Every team should know that. You don't go to McCole Hardman when the game's on the line. So anyways, yeah, it's intercepted, and it's not even really debatable as, oh, well, it was a receiver's fault. No, this was completely on Mahomes. Got aggressive with it, and that was it. That was it. Yeah, that was it. Just one play and one interception, and that's the second of the 2 losses this year. Both losses, first one against the Colts, now against the Bills, they ended in Patrick Mahomes interceptions with the game on the line, with the Chiefs having an opportunity to go downfield and score. So that's, it's always frustrating to see. But that was the game. Chiefs lose this one 24-20. A lot closer than I was expecting. One possession. Would have been 24-23 if Butker had made that. It would have been a 1-point game. So really, this is the way I see it. If the Chiefs have to play the Bills in the playoffs, obviously that would be very stressful for both sides because these 2 damn teams are so good, especially when they play each other. It's always so close and competitive, except for last year's regular season game when the Bills just plain and simple blew the fuck out the Chiefs. But here's the thing is, now if they do meet up in the playoffs, there's not that, mutual feeling on the Bills that's like, oh my god, the Chiefs have beaten us 2 times in a row now in the divisional and in the regular season. Now we really got to get our revenge. And yeah, the Bills would probably win that game in pretty handily fashion if it come playoff time. But now here's the deal. It's just like last year. You already won the regular season game, so it's like now you feel kind of like your loss was avenged a little bit, or at least to an extent. So anyways, I think it's just better overall for the Chiefs that they lost this game if we do have to play the Bills in the playoffs. Because you didn't feel more fire by beating them again. That's the way I see it. So again, this was not a game at all. I'm mad for very long after the fact. I was a little bit disappointed for maybe an hour. Colts game was days. It's days. I was like, oh, I can't believe we lost. No, this one I was expecting. The Bills, in my eyes, are the team to beat in the National Football League this year. I think they are the Super Bowl favorites, at least in my eyes. I see them absolutely winning the Super Bowl as long as they don't screw it up for themselves. Another telling story for this game was the fact that there was so much of a storyline coming into this. The Bills wanting revenge for the playoff game and janky overtime rules, And they only beat us by 4 points. Should have been 1 point. Despite 3 out of the 4 cornerback safeties being rookies. This is a rebuild year for the Chiefs on both ends of the ball. We're talking O-line. We're talking defensive backs. We're talking receivers. Whether you like to admit it or not, or view it as one or not, it is a rebuild year for the Chiefs, and they're 4-2. They're 4-2. If anything, I think a lot of people, including a fair amount of Chiefs fans, were expecting us to be maybe 2-4, 3-3 at this point, not 4-2. We are in plenty good shape. Look at the offseason talk. Chiefs are going to be the worst team in the division. The Raiders upgraded. The Broncos upgraded. The Chargers upgraded. The Chiefs downgraded. Chiefs are going to be the worst team in the division. We look fine. We look plenty fine. For a team that's rebuilding, we look plenty fine. I'll catch you next week where the Chiefs take on the San Francisco 49ers for the first time since Super Bowl 54. That's right, Super Bowl 54 rematch. This is going to be a fun one. I will see you then. Peace out.
And that's about the time she walked away from me.